Whispers from Below, a horror podcast by Justin W. Geis. Scary stories, both real and fake. Hello, listeners. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 10 of Whispers from Below, a podcast by a madman for madmen. I'm your resident psychopath, Justin W. Geis, and today's topic of discussion is Christmas crimes. So before I get into the episode, as usual, I just want to say a couple things. First of all, thank you guys so much for letting me take last week off and being nice. It was a busy week for me, surprisingly. I just started a new job and I was, training and doing all this crazy stuff. And in between all of that, I've been packing. I'm going to be moving soon. And on top of that, it was a holiday. And so I figured if I could just take one little thing off the docket, just sort of help myself relax a little bit and spend time with those that I care about. And it was very nice. I had a very lovely Christmas and a very lovely week. So thank you guys so much for letting me do that. Secondly, I just want to say this episode is pretty chill. There's not a whole lot in here that I would say is awful. In fact, a couple of the things are really funny. So this is one of those that I think is pretty acceptable for a younger audience, a younger listener. Like, I really don't think you're going to run into any issues here. Keep in mind, as I say that, I know I've been getting some new listeners each week. When I say that something is chill or that something's calm, I am saying that from a place of some episodes I talk about serial killers that have, been active for 20 plus years and have done all these terrible, awful things that even me hearing about it when I research stuff like that, I was paranoid in my own home. So when I say that things are chill, just keep in mind it is still a darker subject. I don't think you'd be coming here for a light topic. I mean, this is like a spooky podcast. But if you are sort of looking for something lighter but still has like a dark edge, this is definitely the episode for you. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. So the first crime that we're going to talk about, we're going to talk about 5 different Christmas crimes. But the first one we're going to talk about, the actual act of what happened isn't necessarily scary, but why it happened, or rather, it's not funny. Oh my gosh, my brain. The actual act is scary, but why it happened and how it happened is funny. That's what I was trying to say. So this first murder is called the ceramic squirrel stabbing. It happened in North Charleston, South Carolina. On Christmas Eve of 2013, a 44-year-old woman named Helen Williams became extremely enraged at her husband because he did not bring her beer. Stores, as we all know, they close on Christmas Eve and they close on Christmas. So he, on his way home from work, he wasn't able to get beer for her, and she just lost it. She freaked out and they got into a super, super big fight. At one point during the fight, she grabbed a ceramic squirrel and beat him over the head with it. Then she picked up the broken pieces and stabbed him in the shoulder and the chest. The police arrived on the scene. It didn't say anywhere when I was doing research as to whether or not a neighbor called or if she herself called. I believe it was a neighbor, because she came up with a lame excuse when they got to the door. And I feel like if she would have called, she would have had more insight, more time to sort of figure that out. But she claimed that he had fell and cut himself. But that doesn't explain why she was completely covered head to toe in his blood and why it was splattered everywhere. It just doesn't account for a lot of the things that she said, but they were like, well, she said this happened, so maybe. And then the husband actually survived the beating in the hospital, and he ended up clearing up the story and was like, this is what happened. She beat me, blah, 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 blah. And then she got charged with domestic violence, criminal domestic violence, actually. So yeah, she beat him and he survived. That's still very traumatic, I understand, but why a ceramic squirrel? Number one, my first question, who just has a ceramic squirrel? I just don't know people that would have that in their home. Maybe that's a really popular thing in 2013 South Carolina. I don't know. But I don't know anybody that would just have like a ceramic squirrel. Number two, the fact that not only did she use it to hit him over the head, but then was so mad about it that she picked up like shards of it and like stabbed him with it. That's why, because of beer. Like, what? Honey, go to a bar. Drink something else. Like, beer? That's really what you're mad about? Not that somebody drank. Like, not that this makes it better, but like, if it had been like, maybe he drank like her like $400 scotch or something like that, something more expensive, because as we all know, alcohol can be extremely expensive. No, just beer. Like, what? I bet you she drinks like Bud Light, like garbage beer. Sorry if anybody likes Bud Light. I don't like any kind of beer, but specifically Bud Light, I think is just trash. I feel like that's probably what she drinks. Oof. So, story number one, ceramic squirrel stabbing. The number two crime that I wanted to talk about, I titled it The Buffalo Wild Wings Weed Santa. So this one is just really funny. There's nothing in this that's bad. It's hilarious. In January of 2015, a man named Randy, I don't know if it's Lang or Lange, Lange. He was age 57 when this happened. He entered a BWW dressed as Santa with a duffel bag. So he came in as Santa Claus and he had this big duffel bag. He walked into a B-Dubs and was like, "Hey, everybody, what's up?" And they were all like, "Hey, Santa." This all happened in Seattle, Washington, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. The duffel bag, police later found, had 2 pounds of marijuana that he started giving away in the restaurant. He started wrapping it up in napkins that were at the table and handing it out. He tipped a waitress with it, and then he stuffed a bunch of weed into the tip jar. He claimed that he was the real Santa. He was completely the real Santa, and that the weed was a gift from him from the North Pole. And the 2 pounds, just to give you an idea of like sizing wise of what 2 pounds of weed would be, it was packaged in 5 football sized packages. So that's like when I say 2 pounds, it's like, oh, that's not a lot. Like, that's not a lot of weed, whatever. 5 footballs of weed was in that duffel bag. When I say it that way, I feel like you have a little bit more of an image of like, that's a lot of weed for you to just be carrying around. And the best part about this story is that he didn't resist arrest. And when the police were asking him why he did it, he was like, "I just like handing out weed. I just like giving it out to people." I mean, come on. Maybe he is the real Santa. Who knows? I don't personally partake in when we were in states that have it legalized. I did not particularly partake in the devil's lettuce, but I have no issue with anybody that does. And if it makes you calmer and chiller, go for it. I know people that have like really bad anxiety, and it helps them kind of calm down. So like, I don't really have an issue with it. I just think it's so funny that he was like, "I just like handing it out, man." Like, he had no issue. He was just like, "Yeah, I just really like handing it out." Also, that he was dressed like Santa and walked into a B-Dubs, walked into a Buffalo Wild Wings and was like, "Here you go." Like, of all the places to go to, why like a sports bar? I feel like you would get a better reception at like a coffee shop. I don't know. I just think that's so funny. Like, especially the location, like a sports bar. He really thought that sports bar was going to be it. Anyway, Weed Santa. Great story. Number 3, we have the Walmart robbery. This is what I titled it. So this happened in Jacksonville, Florida on December 18th, 2014. So technically not like on Christmas or around the date of Christmas. It was a little bit before, but you'll see it sort of pertains. So Tara Scott and Gerard Dupree were caught on video stealing from a Walmart. They loaded their cart with 1 Leapfrog tablet, 1 motorized Barbie car, and 1 Barbie Glam vacation home which totaled about $369 worth of product. Now, the reason that I put this in the Christmas episode was because number one, Christmas was, you know, last week or this past weekend or whatever. Um, when this comes out, that'll be the date. And also because they were stealing like Christmas toys, so I thought it like kind of like pertained. They were trying to like Grinch their way out of it. Um, Basically what they did was that Dupree walked to the front of the store, and those of you that have been to a Walmart, you know that there's like security there. He faked a heart attack at the entrance, and while everybody was distracted, Terrace Scott walked right out of the store without paying. As soon as Scott had fled the scene and got to the car, Dupree made a sudden recovery and left to meet up with him. Bad choice. Surveillance caught all of it, and they were soon arrested and charged with grand larceny. There's not really anything else to really talk about in that story, just that, like, because they had it all on video, it was, like, really easy to tell who was working with who just, like, fakes a heart attack and then is fine. Not even fakes, who has a heart attack and then is suddenly fine, number one. Number two, you can see someone just like walking out of the store that like clearly hasn't paid and they have expensive things in their cart. Like, I don't know. It sounds like a flawless plan until you realize that there is security. Like, there are security cameras, like, obviously, and they can go back and check that because that's so suspicious for you to have a heart attack and then be fine. Like, I don't know. Maybe there could have been a different excuse, a different thing that happened. Like, maybe he goes in on crutches or something and then like he falls down, but he's like, my leg hurts, and then everybody comes over to try to help him out, and then he's sort of like, it's okay, just like I need a minute, can somebody go grab me this? Like, that way there's like more happening, and him making a sudden recovery. If my FBI agent is listening, I'm not about to rob a store, like, I really promise. But you know what I mean? Like, there are different ways to do that I think would work better than a heart attack. But I'm not a criminal, so, like, I guess I don't really know what works best. I just assume that would work better, but whatever. It worked out for them in the short run, but not in the long run. Number 4 that we have to talk about today, I need to move on, is the Santa Claus burglar. This is his, like, official title. So in Seattle, Washington, a man named Sean Chanel tried to rob someone on February 19th, 2010 by breaking in through their chimney. So though this is not around the time of Christmas, he is called the Santa Claus burglar. So it applies. I have something to say because a lot of you are going to be like, I'm sure there are crimes that happen on Christmas. Surprisingly, no. Like, when I was doing the Halloween one, I had so much to work with. I was like, oh, 80 people have been shot on Halloween. Like, cool. Like, I have a lot of things to talk about and a lot of things to work with. Like, this will be cool. Christmas, like, I won't be able to do a part 2 of this one unless a wild crime happens next year. Because, like, nothing happens. Everything's closed and everybody stays at home. Like, on Halloween, like, businesses are still open. There's still stuff happening. But, like, on Christmas, like, everything shuts down. So there's nothing really happening unless it's domestic. And even then, it's not that bad. Like, I really struggled finding stuff for, like, a Christmas crime episode. So if stuff seems like it's a little weird that I chose it, it's because I was having a hard time finding 5. I like to do, for those of you that don't know, if this is like your first time tuning in or things like that, I've done episodes like this where I do a couple different crimes and I put them all into one episode. I did one that was about like clowns and some true crime stuff about clowns. I had a Halloween episode, crimes that happened on Halloween. I believe all of those were actually murders. I believe they were all Halloween murders, but there's been other crimes that have happened on Halloween. And I like to do 5. I think that's like a solid number. I don't know if anybody's caught on to that yet, but in those episodes, I typically do 5. I had a hard time finding a 5th one for this. So if things seem weird, like, I promise it pertains to Christmas, it might just like not outrightly seem that way. But this one, it'll make sense in a second. So all of that to say, it'll make sense in a second. He tried to break in through somebody's chimney. He ended up getting stuck and he couldn't get out. Um, Nobody really knows how he got stuck because he is 5'9" and he weighs 155 pounds. So if you're not familiar with like height and weight ratios, um, like I would say like 5'7", 5'8" at 155 pounds is like pretty lean. Like you're a pretty lean person. You might have like muscle on you, but like you're pretty lean. 5'9", you're definitely leaner. Like he's not a big guy. He's like pretty small, but like maybe he might have like muscle on him, but he's really not big. Like there no one knows how he got stuck in that chimney. He started calling for help and crying out. I believe after like 4 hours of him being in there, they called the police. The neighbors called the police because they heard someone screaming from the house there. When the police arrived, they realized he was in the chimney and stuck. So then they called the fire department. So I believe in total, he was stuck up in the chimney for 6 hours. When they finally like cut away all the brick and got him out, he was like suddenly naked. I don't know about you, but I personally hate having to go to the grocery store. It takes up so much of my day when I could be starting a new hobby with that time, like soap carving or collecting the sick bags out of airplanes. With Instacart, it makes grocery shopping fast and easy, all while allowing me to stay in my underwear. Instacart allows you to order all of the things you usually get from your local stores, delivered to your door in as fast as 1 hour. Not only that, but it will also give you smart suggestions for new items based off of your preferences, as well as highlight deals to help you save some money. The shoppers handpick perfect produce and make sure that your eggs get to you safely. You can get free delivery on your first order over $35 by following the link in the show notes. This also lets Instacart know that we sent you, and it helps support Whispers from Below. So if you hate grocery shopping as much as I do, try Instacart today and enjoy getting your groceries the easy way. I wrote in my notes, he was naked, question mark? Like, also don't know how that happened. Like, I think maybe he tried to crawl out of his clothes in order to like escape the chimney. Maybe he thought that like the clothes got him stuck, so he decided if I take the clothes off, then I can crawl out um of the chimney, like it should be fine, whatever. But I just love that like not only did you get stuck in a chimney, but then when they get you out, you are butt ass naked, just like ready and rearing to go in that chimney. Like, good for you, Sean. He claimed that he was trying to retrieve his backpack. It fell down the chimney when he was on the roof. I believe he tried to spin some story about how like he was doing a repair or something, or he lost something up there, so he went up to get it, and then his backpack fell, and whatever. Everybody, mama, we been knew that you were trying to rob them, like whatever. He did only get sentenced to 17 months in prison because he did not actually rob them. It was just like intent. Like he had like intention to burgle or whatever. Is burgle? I believe that's like the right word, right? It would be like intention to burgle or like intention to rob. So he didn't technically do anything wrong. He was like trespassing and he had intention to do it and they could prove that. But he didn't actually take anything worth value. So only 17 months. And I think when he broke out or when he got out of jail, I believe he tried to break into somebody else's home and also failed and then got arrested again for a very similar charge. From what I understand, Sean Chanel has been arrested many, many times since a teen. And they're all for like him getting stuck in stuff or like failing a crime. Like he's not particularly gifted in the crime aspect of life that he has chosen. And the fifth and final crime is of, I titled it the Mall Santa murder. Ooh. This happened in Atlanta, Georgia. A man named Elkin Donnie Clark, age 49, beat a 74-year-old woman, Annie Ruth Nelson, in a mall with a 2x4 on December 10th, 2004. He was dressed as Santa Claus, and when people asked him what happened, he claimed that she had stolen $145 worth of Hershey's chocolate from him. Nobody can confirm this story, that she took it or that he even had it in the first place. He ended up beating her around the face and the head with the 2x4. And later, she ended up dying in the hospital due to her injuries. A woman tried to step in and like remove him from Annie Ruth, and he threatened to beat her as well with the 2x4. He was charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault. And he was a very aggressive man. What I think is fascinating is that his first thought, so like let's say for a minute that Miss Annie Ruth really was a 74-year-old pickpocket or whatever, and she took that $145 worth of Hershey's chocolate from him. Let's say she did. Why is your first thought to beat her with a 2x4? What kind of twisted brain do you have to have for that to be your go-to? Like, that was his go-to, his first option. That wasn't his plan B or C. That was his plan A. It was like, I'm gonna beat this woman until she gives me that chocolate. I feel like that is such a flawed plan. Like, not an intelligent man. Also, you're dressed as Santa Claus. You are a mall Santa. You did not have $145 worth of Hershey's chocolate unless it was given to you for free, in which case you're going to be just fine without it. Like, the resale value of chocolate, I don't think is going to be too high. I really think that you're going to be okay. Um, I also just feel bad for Annie Ruth if she didn't do it. I mean, like, literally no one can confirm or deny that story. Like, it, nobody actually knows if she did or didn't. They didn't find any chocolate on her, but also, like, he might not have even had any chocolate. He could have been, like, drugged out. He could have been, like, all over the place. Let's be real. We've all seen the mall Santas. You know the kind. It's one of those, like, white men that's old. They have huge bags under their eyes. They smell like smoke. Like, they just smell like cigarettes. And they're always weird and like coked out when you're talking to them. Like, they're not real people. We've all seen them. We all know what I'm talking about. It's some weird Caucasian thing where they love to have a mall Santa. And I don't get it. But we all know the kind I'm talking about. That's what this man looks like. If you look up Elkin Donnie Clark, you will see what I'm talking about. He looks like every typical mall Santa. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that was a unnecessary death. Granted, like, is any death necessary? Technically, no. But like, when I talk about, Gacy or I talk about Dahmer, and like each of their victims died and it sort of pushed them to the next one, or when I talk about a victim and I'm like, this was his first victim and this is what led him to blank, like, those deaths weren't quote unquote necessary because they're a murder, but those deaths were necessary for like the progression of that killer and sort of their infamy. This death is just like so pointless. Like, it's so sad. Like, this old woman just got murdered because she was accused of stealing chocolate that probably didn't exist. That is so upsetting. This old man was just mad at her. I say old, he's 49, he's young. I mean, she was 74, she's not that old, by today's standards. But just like very sad. Pour one out for Annie Ruth. This is the only episode I've done in a while that just has like one murder in it, but like, pour one out for her. I feel bad for her to die so close to Christmas. She was probably so excited to see like grandkids and stuff like that. Just upsetting. That's pretty much all I have to talk about today. I know that it's a pretty short episode, but I had a hard time. Christmas is not, full disclosure, Christmas is not one of my favorite holidays. I'm not particularly fond of Christmas for any reason. I think it's fine. I'm more of a Halloween type of gay. But I really was convinced that people were going to go, hog wild on Christmas, murdering each other and stuff. And I had a really hard time finding anything about it, which I just found fascinating because a holiday that everybody loves so much, I'm sure somebody's tried to ruin it with something. But anyway, let's keep it that way. It's probably a good thing. Honestly, the less topics I have to talk about holidays being ruined by like a murder or like a shooting or something is probably for the best. Like it would be great if I could run out of content to talk about. That would mean that the world is like on the right track. Anyway, if you enjoyed this episode and you want to hear more stuff, I have episodes very similar to this. Um, this podcast, not every episode is for every single person. So if you weren't a big fan of this episode, go back to some of my older ones if you're a new listener. I have some on serial killers. I have some on anime. I have some on Grimm's fairy tales is something I do. Haunted locations is something I do. I have all sorts of topics that you might be interested in, and that episode might appeal to you more. Not every episode is for every person, and that's totally okay. Um, the other thing is I do have episodes similar to this. So if you did listen and you liked this episode, you can go back and check those out. I believe I did one on true crime stories involving clowns, and I also did one on Halloween. There might be another one somewhere in there that's true crime. So if you're interested in anything like that, please go check it out. I also have a website if you'd like to go check that out as well. It's whispersfrombelow.com. You can download episodes there. You can buy merch there. I have like bomber jackets, pillowcases, stickers, all sorts of cool stuff, hats. You can go check all of that out as well. On top of all of those things, there is a contact page. So, one of my favorite things to do is episodes that you guys suggest for me. Um, I love doing episodes that are fan suggestions because it's typically a topic that I A don't know about or B I wouldn't think anybody would want to hear about. And then when I hear that somebody wants to talk about it, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I talked about I believe it was the 1996 Aurora, Colorado shooting. There was a shooting in Colorado at a Chuck E. Cheese. I knew nothing about it, and a fan suggested it, and it's a very popular episode. People really like listening to it. Somebody suggested that I talk about the differences between Halloween and Dia de los Muertos, and I really loved learning more about both of those holidays through that episode. I mean, I love doing those. So if you have any episode suggestions, anything that you want to hear from me, there's a contact page. You can shoot me a message, and it goes straight to my phone. So I usually respond pretty quickly. If you don't want to go to the website to shoot me a message, you can always do it via Instagram. I check my DMs pretty frequently throughout the day. The Instagram handle is whispers from below. No spaces, no underscores, no capitals, no nothing. If you want to check out more photos or uh, see what I look like at all, that's on there. It also links you right to the website. And that's how I update a lot of people on whether or not an episode's going to be going up that week or whatever. I usually post on Instagram. If you're a new person, I post a new episode every Monday at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. You can find it Spotify, iTunes, pretty much anything that you download podcasts on, you can find it there. The other thing that I wanted to talk about really quickly, well, two more things. The other one is if you're interested in my personal life at all, you can check out my personal Instagram, which is JUTIN_geese, like the animal. Um, and that's just pictures of me in makeup. It's pictures of my dog, my boyfriend, whatever I'm going through in the moment. So if you're interested in anything like that, you can go check it out there. The last thing I want to talk about is my Patreon is now up and running. It is live. You can go check it out. There are 5 tiers. There's a $5 tier, a $10 tier, $25, $50, and $100. There is a ton of cool stuff that you guys can get from it. Please, please, please go check it out. There's stickers that you get every couple months. There's bonus episodes that you can get. There is voting power on future episodes. There's a Discord full of people that are just like you that want to talk about the crazy things that you want to talk about. I know for me personally, it's hard to find people that are as interested in more macabre topics like this. And finding people that want to talk about it with you is so cool. So that's why like one of the tiers offers you a Discord with people that not only like the things that you like, but also this podcast. So if you want to talk about an episode or anything like that, you can talk to those people about it and they will all have listened to it and know what you're talking about and you guys can expand upon that. It's also a great way to reach me because I'll check that pretty frequently. There's also a water bottle that is custom made by my sister-in-law and her company, which is the Sticker Bar Boutique. You can go check them out for all of your like customized merchy sort of stuff. They do like water bottles and t-shirts and It's all really high quality. I've been using kind of under the radar, but I've been using a Whispers from Below personalized water bottle myself for a couple weeks now, and it's just absolutely amazing. It's so cute and wonderful. So if you really want to support me in the show, that is a really great way to do it. You can also send me messages through certain tiers and things like that on any episodes that you want done. So you should go check it out. I'd love to get more people on that Patreon before February 6th. February 6th is my year mark of doing this podcast. So if you've been around since the beginning, thank you so much. If you're new, please go back and listen to any episode that interests you. Let me know what episodes you want to hear in the future. And thank you guys so much for listening. Remember, not a lot of crime happens on Christmas for some reason. Pour one out for Annie Ruth. She really sacrificed herself for no reason for that man's chocolate. And keep washing your hands, wearing a mask. I know I say it every week, but you just got to be safe.